United stand. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to sell Anthony Martial, but has been overruled by the Glazers, one of which thinks that Martial's the next Pele. You couldn't write it, but it has been written by the Daily Mirror. The journalist who's written it actually is the person who said that Mourinho was going to get sacked 24 hours before the Newcastle game. That doesn't mean he's not credible, by the way. It doesn't mean this story isn't true, but I think we may have to take it with a pinch of salt. Although, I take it with a pinch of salt that the Glazers have described, or Joel Glazer has described Martial as United's Pele. Maybe the current Pele, the one who's in his 80s. I don't know. But I do think it is interesting about Anthony Martial because it raises many topical sort of political points with Manchester United at the moment. We saw towards the end of the season that Martial was frozen out. We've never seen Rashi frozen out. We don't really see Lingard frozen out, but Martial is. Somebody today said to me £80 million for Anthony Martial, and I said, that probably is a good deal for Anthony Martial, but I personally don't want him to be sold. He is the only player we've got at Manchester United who gets me off my seat. He excites me. Yeah, there's an argument to be had about the distance covered. There's an argument to be had about his inconsistency. I refuse to go into areas of bad attitude or laziness. I think they have bad connotations with no evidence, but I do agree that he doesn't cover much distance and he is a bit inconsistent. However, you can always spin it in another way and say that in the Premier League, I believe Anthony Martial has the best shot conversion rate. He is a very, very clinical player when chances are given to him. And I think that much the same as sort of Pogba and Rashford and Lingard, I think the obsession with their defensive attributes is odd. It's really odd. I don't remember Ronaldo tracking back that much. We've had players that I would call freaks in many ways, that freaks in a good way. Rooney's, Ryan Giggs, tracking back into fullback positions and making tackles, but it's not really. You don't see Aguero doing it. You don't really see Firmino or Salah doing it. There's a weird obsession with United. It's a bonus if you've got a player who does that, but actually you just want them to express themselves as attackers. Do I have concerns that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be looking to sell Anthony Martial? What are your thoughts to talk about that? Red Devil says Martial is the GOAT. Iron Soldier says Rashford is trash. Ollie is a yes man, says Mohammed Hussein. But you'd have to disagree with that. If there's any evidence if there's any truth in the matter, the story goes like this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to put Anthony Martial on the transfer list. The owners have overruled him because they like Anthony Martial. And I've got to be honest with you, it's a tough one for me. If it's true, it's a tough one for me because I am happy the board have overruled it because I want Martial to stay at the club and I think Ollie's wrong. But a massive part of me, and probably more of me, says you can't overrule a manager, because it's all right when they overrule a manager for something you agree with, like let's not sell Martial. But what if they overrule him on something you don't agree with, or you do agree with? You know what I mean? Like if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I want us to sign Koulibaly, overruled, you're getting Manolas, and I disagree with that. So it's dangerous, isn't it? I think that a manager should be. Well, you know what? Should they? Could Pep Guardiola go to Manchester City's owners and say, I'm selling De Bruyne, or I really, really like Mark Noble? They'd say, Pep, have you had a bang on the head? At least they'd be able to tell he's got no hair. They'd be a bum. But you know what I mean? I think we live in this world where we think, a manager should have the final say on everything. A manager is an employee of the club. Of course, there are going to be limitations on what a manager can do. Sir Alex Ferguson couldn't walk into the Glazers and say, show me the money, give me half a billion pounds. I should have tried Scottish. But he couldn't, and he wouldn't get it. So the whatever you say about, it's bad that Solskjaer's been overruled, if he has been overruled, actually, he's an employee of the club. Of course, they're going to overrule him on some things, but he's got to be given free rein to a certain extent because he's got to build the team. Any news on Alexis Sanchez? Bro, says Gustavo Cortez. No, not at all. Nothing in relation to that. Martial isn't a winger. He couldn't cross the road, says Funky Cool Dad. And does this mean that Daniel James is off, says PJ Studios? I tell you what, if we were selling Martial to bring Daniel James in, that's a very, very, very big risk. Can Ollie fix this in 3 years? He isn't Klopp. It's a huge risk, says Jason Miller. Well, look, again, let's go hypothetical on this. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is wanting to sell Anthony Martial, what does that make you think of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a manager? Because to me, And I'm only going to be honest, we're going to talk about Pogba, we're going to talk about Patrice Evra's comments. I think they're really interesting. And there's also something I heard it today on Radio 5 Live. I can't remember the person's name, I'm apologetic about that. But he had a theory as to where this all started, all the problems started. And it started with Sir Alex Ferguson signing Robin Van Persie. So we'll come to that in a few minutes' time as well. But let's talk about the Martial thing. If Solskjaer wants to sell Martial, it worries me a lot because... to me, it just makes me very, very scared about this old boys act. It's like, it's like Herrera's going, but Young and Jones stay. Martial can go, but Rashford and Lingard can stay. And it's like Gomez is angling for a move, but McTominay can stay. It's like we seem to be focusing on the wrong type of player at Manchester United. It seems to me that if you are a player that will try hard, you'll get in the team. But I'm fed up of try hard. It doesn't work if they're not good enough. I'm no doubt that Ashley Young tries hard, but he's crap. I've got no doubt that Phil Jones tries hard. The places he puts his head, he clearly tries hard. He's just not very good. And Manchester United need better than that. We need talented players. And as I said, Anthony Martial is one of the few players that gets me off my seat at Manchester United over the last few years. So for us to sell him and then retain Rashford and Lingard are nowhere near technically the level that Anthony Martial is. I would rather spend a lot of time on Anthony Martial because, people are talking about Martial's always had a bad attitude, this, that and the other, right? But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's only been in the job for 5 months. So and Anthony Martial signed a new contract under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his second month here. So they had a good relationship. At the moment, maybe they don't. Why would Ollie want to sell him? It doesn't make any sense. He's hardly been here any time. He's better, infinitely better than Rashford, and he's better than Lingard by a very long way. Rashford's way better than Lingard. Martial's better than them both. I would want to spend the time on Anthony Martial to try and get it out of him because he's got the talent. All you've got to do is get the work rate. With Lingard and Rashford, you'll get the work rate, but I don't know whether they're ever going to have the talent. I think in Lingard's case, he's plateaued anyway. He's not getting any better. He's 27. Rashford can get better, but it's a risk. And I think that is where my focus would be at Manchester United, on using the talented players I've already got. And, we're talking about £80 million. I'll tell you what. People like Chelsea, people like PSG, people like Arsenal, people like Liverpool, people like Spurs, they would take Anthony Martial. They would take him tomorrow. So we're going to give up a player that everybody else would want. They won't want Lingard, and I doubt they'll really want Rashford. So, this is my issue with Manchester United at the moment. It's not factual, it's not evidential, but I do have concerns about this homegrown obsession. It's odd. It's really odd. And as I said the other day, the best clique at Manchester United is the Spanish one. Herrera, De Gea and Mata have performed better on the pitch and get what United's about far more than the English clique, which is crap. I mean, look at the English clique. Young, Jones, Smalling, Shaw, Lingard, Rashford. It ain't that good. It ain't that good, but we seem to be obsessed with it. Second manager complaining about Tony. Coincidence, says Adask SVK. Well, yes and no. And Chloe Jenkins says Martial is a number 9. I wouldn't disagree with that. Welcome, Biggie Cheese, the latest member of the Members Club. And we've had another super chat here as well I want to just get before I come back to that thing. I mean, look, the second manager thing, I think you can cut him a little bit of slack because Jose Mourinho didn't like anybody. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's not been here long enough as far as I'm concerned. And you wonder how much he's listening to people like Michael Carrick, who, obviously has an insight into the dressing room. So maybe, I don't know what goes on in the dressing room, but I don't like speculation. And, I've seen the video with Flex and Rants, and I don't agree with how aggressive Rants got about it. But I do agree with the point that he made as to why does Paul Pogba get far more criticism than anybody else. Because if he was English, it'd be very, very different. And I think it's the same with Anthony Martial. If Anthony Martial was English, the press would love him. They never give any stick to Rashford and Lingard. But Martial, they're on him all the time. And it's the same with some of our ex-players. They're always on Martial's back, but they're never on the English lads' back. And their attitude and effort over the last... you know what? Let's mention Gary Neville, because Gary Neville always sticks up for the English lads. I can sort of understand why. He managed England, co-managed England, and he has been quite vocal about Martial and Pogba. And I think Gary Neville has been let down. And I think everybody who sticks up for Rashford and Lingard has been let down, because basically, I'm not disagreeing with the fact that Pogba's been poor this season and Martial's been poor. They've both been poor. But I don't think they've been anywhere near as bad as Lingard. And Lingard doesn't get any stick at all. But he's let those people down who want to back him because he's a local mank English lad. He's let them down because his effort levels are worse than what Pogba's is. His ability levels are worse than what Martial's is. But he doesn't get any criticism. And I tell you what, the worst player, just on that Pogba thing, the worst player... let me just read this contribution. I watched your video earlier regarding Koulibaly. Just an update from what I saw. Several sources state we could sign him in within 2 weeks. Thoughts, MFC Russell. I've got a big reveal in relation to Koulibaly on the Transfer Daily tomorrow. I will be revealing a couple of the sources who've told me about Koulibaly. Also, I've got my theory on it. So there's a bit of extra news around Koulibaly, which I'll have for you on Transfer Daily tomorrow. But it will just be revealing sources and a little bit of extra information. However... I'm not keeping anything massively back now. Well, I am, but what I would say is it's looking very, very promising about Koulibaly, hence the video this afternoon. Obviously, a lot of us have discussed Koulibaly. I've got my, I nearly said agenda, I've got my reasoning to think that we're going to get Koulibaly because I knew we were after him with Mourinho and I think United have kept it rolling along. I think the price might be the stumbling block, but we're definitely in for him. It's very, very exciting. I don't think this is true. This is just them doing an agenda linking the training with Martial having a bad attitude. I think Martial cares about Manchester United, to be honest, says Chief Sosa. Look, I think Martial will be a Manchester United player next year. I think that's the most important thing. Whether we're right or wrong, I don't have a problem. I do not have a problem with people saying that Anthony Martial's been poor in a United shirt this season. I do not have a problem with that at all, because he has been. Has he been worse than Lingard? No. And he has not been worse than Rashford either. But he takes the blame. Like Pogba, just on Pogba a minute as well. A lot of his goals were penalties, right? And a lot of Pogba's stats came in the 2 months when Ollie first came here. Ollie, I cannot get my hat on the fact that people think Paul Pogba should be Player of the Year. How can you be Player of the Year when you played well for 2 months and shit for 6? Watch the second goal of Cardiff's on Saturday. If Paul Pogba deserves Player of the Year, then he needs to be checked in every single game and focused every single game. He stopped playing in the middle of March. He's checked out. He's probably leaving. But you watch the second goal of Cardiff. It's his man who he just lets him go. It's his man who scores. Watch it back. He's checked out. But he's not the only one. That's what I would say about that. He's not the only one. I think individual criticism is very, very unfair on just Pogba, on just Martial, because there's loads of them. And actually, if you want to go in on somebody, go in after Hercule Poirot, who's walking around on the pitch after the game, joking with Lukaku with a stupid caterpillar on his lip, and all he's done is play a bloody piano and walk his dogs on 400 grand a week. But because he puts a nice little social media post out saying we can get back to the Sir Alex days, no one's booing and shouting abuse at him. No one's telling him to get out the club. And that's where the hypocrisy does come in, really. Why is Pogba and Martial getting so much stick when Alexis Sanchez gets none? And he's the biggest problem at Manchester United. An absolute joke to the number 7 shirt, yet again. Effort levels, crap. Ability, crap. Headless chicken, man. That's what he is. No criticism at all while he's walking around having a bit of a banter with Lukaku. And he's the biggest culprit. Absolutely invisible man. The invisible man. But, collectively, I think the blame needs to lie with the United players. And as I've said many a time, I'm very, very, very fed up with them. That's the truth. Koulibaly and Fernandes is a great start for now, says MUFC Reese Russell. Don't bloody tempt fate, Reese. It is very, very early days. But if we did get Fernandes and we did get Koulibaly, it would be a very, very good start to the transfer window. Don't count your chickens. I've been doing this for 4 years on United Stand. I've been watching United transfer windows for many years. I think about Ronaldinho summer. That one kills me. But Vidal, Ozil, Schneider. I think we might get Schneider this year, actually. But seriously, it's not done till it's done. There's positivity around the Koulibaly deal. Definitely. 100% positivity around Koulibaly. All I'll say is watch Transfer Daily in the morning at 7 a.m. I'll reveal why I'm very confident now. I had a theory. You know my theory about Koulibaly. I've explained it many times. But there's more. It's not my theory separate. That's just my theory. There is real evidence that United are going to sign Koulibaly, I think, now. The only thing that worries me is the price. And Fernandes, we're in for Fernandes. He's at the top of my hotometer. We're in for Bruno Fernandes. It's just whether anybody else better than us goes in for him, because they could get that deal done. But if we get those two, very exciting. I don't want Martial sold, but backing the manager means backing him all the way. If not, players will see he hasn't got the power and not respect him all the way, says Dino Sacks DMR. And I'll come back to that. And Tony Pearson says, have you heard any rumours about Adrian Rabiot? Yes, I have. Right, there's a lot of people talking about Manchester City ban. Let's have a look at this. BBC Football. Right, I'm not getting any breaking news on this, so let's have a quick look around. Either people are just very insistent that we talk about it. Silence is no good. I'm not getting anything on it. Is there something breaking? Something breaking about it? No, just people talking about it. We have a short window to act whilst the top 5 are still playing for honours. It's a massive opportunity to get deals done early, says Nick P. Yes, I agree with that 100%. And going back to what that comment was from Dino Sacks DMR about the manager having the power, Scott McSauce, says Nigel Shen. What I would say about that is, I can't believe so. You bantered me there. I can't believe so many of you have mentioned City ban in the live comments, and it's news from like 8 hours ago. I'm thinking we're looking at breaking news. I mean, fair play. We'll talk about the City ban very, very quickly. But I want to just talk about the more important thing, Manchester United first. The manager getting their backing is important in relation to the players they want, and Mourinho said this. But where do you draw the line? If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer walks into Woodward and says, I want you to sell Pogba, I want you to sell Martial, they're bad influencers, but I'm keeping Rashford and Lingard, I'm going to play Ashley Young next year and Phil Jones and McTominay, and you can sell Gomez as well, he's too small. I'm like jumping in as Ed Woodward. I'm saying, oh, Ollie, look, I know you managed Cardiff and Mulder, and this is probably why you did manage Cardiff and Mulder. You're telling me to sell Martial, but you're keeping Lingard and Rashford. You're telling me to get rid of Gomez because you want to keep McTominay. You're telling me you're going to play Ashley Young at right back. Look, I wanted you to get the job. You did very well for 3 months. Ollie's at the wheel. I've got it on CD, but you're not at the wheel with this, mate. You're chucking the wheel out the window. Like, you know, I've got faith in you, but tell me you've got better plans than selling Martial and playing Ashley Young at right back. Give me more. So that and I think that's the worry about Ollie, isn't it? It's this, we don't know what we all want him to succeed. We all love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we do, but there are concerns. There are concerns about some of the things he's doing. The Ashley Young one for me is the biggest one. I know it gets a bit of press, but I don't think it gets any. Again, it gets no press in the media, no mention in the media. All they want to talk about is Pogba and Martial. They mention nothing about Ashley Young being Manchester United captain and, let's be honest, being absolutely diabolical. I mean, when was the last good game he had? I know he scored against Palace away, but he didn't play well. He was at fault for one of the goals. When was the last game Ashley Young played well? It probably was around January because we were doing all right then. He's been abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. But Ollie has picked him every single game and given him the captain's armband every single game. So, but that doesn't get mentioned in the media. But that is a very important thing because that is something Ollie's doing. And next season, if he keeps doing it, I think I've said it many times, it's going to be a problem for us. Should United go for Milinkovic-Savic again? No. Manik and Balaji. They shouldn't, because I got that wrong. And, you know, we're all going to get it wrong. I thought a year ago he was a perfect signing for us. He's not had a very good season for United. And I don't think he's the sort of player that we want, to be honest. I think Milinkovic-Savic is a good player and you could put him in the Pogba role, but I don't think he's what we're looking for. I think Ollie wants a bit more manoeuvrability, a higher press, and I think Bruno Fernandes would suit that role a lot better. On the Man City ban, can I just say this then? My understanding of the Man City ban, before we talk about Patrice Evra's comments, my understanding with the Man City ban is that if they get a ban from the Champions League for a year, obviously they might appeal it, but if they do get a ban and Arsenal win the Europa League, we'll be in the Champions League. If Arsenal lose the Europa League, they'll be in the Champions League, regardless of whether they lose. I think that's what happens. Can I just say, I don't want Arsenal to win the Europa League, so, but that would put them in the. I just, you know what? Part of me thinks if we get into the Champions League because Man City cheated, I'm like, I don't know. I was thinking, I took it further today. Actually, I was down London, and I always walk between places because I can't be arsed with the underground. And I was thinking about take it to the next level. What if they really uncover the corruption of Manchester City and the bending of the rules, and they start taking titles away from them? Would that, so Liverpool would get their title this year. We would get the title last year. And I thought, would Liverpool fans be happy with that? Because I wouldn't. I think Liverpool and United, if that happened, should have a chat and say, let's give our title to someone like Hull, who will never win a league title. I wouldn't want the league because Man City got it took off them. Oh, we won the league by technicality under Mourinho. We were crap. We were absolutely crap. We were however many points behind. I don't like getting things because somebody else has got a ban. And people will say, well, they've cheated, they deserve the ban. But I just feels very, very hollow to me. Did you see Sky's reports on United and Tielemans, says Adam McCucken? Can I just be honest with you and say, I have got no, you can talk about the Daily Mirror, you can talk about the Sun. I do not rate Sky Sports. They get things right because they report on it when it's confirmed. But their leaks and sources are crap. And they've been crap for years. Sky Sports is not in any way a reliable source that people use anymore. They don't. They're very good at their news and stuff, but their leaks and their sources are not that good. It might improve. It might improve. UEFA has no authority over the FA, says Cannabis. I know I was talking hypothetically. We're going to go out immediately in the Champions League next season, says Nicholas B. I don't want to be in the Champions League anymore. I don't. I think we're in a bad place, and we need to accept that and take our medicine and start to build back. I think if we go in the Champions League, it's by default we go in the Champions League. It sort of like lets us get away from a very, very bad season, and I think we just need to go down before we can come back again. Remember, we're part of the cartel city. You're getting banned because we say so, says Mancunian Swagger. And sign a natural right winger and a left winger, play Martial as a 9, sell Lukaku and keep Rashi as a backup centre forward with Greenwood, says Red J. I think Martial wants to play up front, and I do like Thomas Partey, Fraser. I really do. Nice to see some of the members in the club in the live comments as well. Let's just bring Patrice Evra's comments in because he's been speaking a lot today. And I like Patrice Evra. I think he's a bit left field. He was a left back. But I have to say, I think a lot of what he's coming out with is just hot air. I really do. I read most of it and I was like, what does that mean? He said, he spoke about Pogba and he said something along the lines, the fans are killing Pogba and that's why I think he'll leave because of the criticism. And I'm like, so what are you saying, Patrice? Like, fans can't criticise? I mean, what do you think? Should fans be able to publicly criticise players? Yes. I think yes. What we're going to be banned from now having an opinion on footballers publicly? We can say it privately on little chats and forums, but we can't say it publicly. Nonsense. Should people be aggressive and abusive with it? Of course not. But yes, players should be. I look that fan who had a go at Pogba the other day. I would like him to have said it to 4 or 5 players like this. You're all not good enough to wear that shirt. You're all not fit to wear that shirt. Get out of my club and don't bother coming back because you've absolutely abused that shirt this season. To strongly say that, it'd be far more powerful than the effing and the blinding. And it needed to go to lots of different players. So I disagree with Everett on that. Oh, the fans are killing Pogba. Well, Pogba's performances haven't been that good. The same as many players. And if they can't take that and they want to cut and run, they shouldn't be in United in the first place. Then he also said that, Pogba's got the most goals and he should be in the dressing room saying, Jesse and Rashi, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? I need, that's what he should be doing. Yeah, he should be doing it, but he's not. So you're right, Patrice, and I'm sure that's what you used to do when you were the captain because you were passionate and you understood what it was like. But we ain't got anyone in the dressing room doing that. That's the whole bloody point. You can't expect Pogba to do it because he doesn't do it. Nobody does it. So I disagree with that as well. I think that I think what Evra is trying to do is try and put a bit of positivity around the Manchester United squad, but doing it at totally the wrong time. There is no sympathy for a lot of those players at the moment, and there shouldn't be any sympathy for those players at the moment because they've vastly let down the Manchester United fan base, and they don't deserve any sympathy at the moment. They deserve the criticism. They don't deserve vile abuse. I've always said that, but they don't deserve any sympathy, and that just seems to be the agenda at the moment. It seems to be like this. Oh, United fans are bad. United fans are the problem. United fans have been horrible to Pogba and horrible to him, and that's why they want to leave, and they're right for that. Well, no, you know what? You pay your money and you have a right to an opinion, and a lot of these players haven't been good enough. And so Evra can come out and stick up for Pogba all he bloody likes, but I disagree with you, Patrice. I do. I think that every one of those players has performed badly this season, and collectively they should all be getting the same criticism. But I don't think we should feel bad about it. We've not. So what we're doing now? We're apportioning the blame to Manchester United fans because we've had a go at the players. Well, as we all know, we've known it all our life. We are just in the hands of multimillionaires wearing the shirt we love. We are not to blame for the crap on the pitch. They are. And we've got every right to criticise them. So I'm not going to feel guilty about people coming out like Patrice Evra saying, well, United fans are killing Pogba and that's why he's going to leave. They've done it themselves. The whole team's done it themselves. And they need to look in the mirror. That's the biggest thing. They live in a bubble. They live in a bubble of, look at Lingard a few months ago when everything was going well. He's got Jay Ling's bloody clothing coming out. He's dancing around. He's wearing his funny glasses. He's having a great time and life's great. Great. I love that. Well done. Brilliant. When the going's good, enjoy it. Brilliant. Is the going good now? Are you going to be doing more videos on your clothing range? No, because no one wants to bloody buy it because you're not performing in the shirt. And I don't mind what players' motivation is. I don't mind if Paul Pogba's motivation is because he wants to do loads of dance videos in the dressing room. I don't mind if Lingard wants to do loads of clothing stuff. I don't mind if Phil Jones' motivation is getting home, sitting bound down with his wife and watching Emmerdale. I don't really care what the motivation is, as long as the motivation is there on the pitch and they perform. I don't care what players do off the pitch. I'm not bothered about Pogba dancing. I'm not bothered about Lingard's clothing range. I'm not bothered whether Phil Jones has got an Emmerdale fetish. It doesn't matter. What they do on the pitch matters, and they've let us down, and they deserve the criticism. Angel Gomez looked better than Greenwood on Sunday, says Chief Sosa. You know what? I didn't really notice Gomez that much, and I feel bad about that. I was talking to Flex today because obviously he was at the ground, and it wasn't on UK TV, so it's very hard when you're trying to watch games back after the event because you skip a lot. But Gomez is a good player, and as I said this afternoon, for anybody who's not watched the Koulibaly video, go and give it a watch because I spoke about Gomez for a few minutes at the end. And this thing that he's not big enough, jokes, absolute jokes. If he's good enough to play football, he's good enough. That's what it is, because we've got an obsession with height and it does my head in. Josh Wearing, to be fair to Evra, he did say none of our players are good enough for United or other top European side. He agrees this summit is paramount. Yeah. And VX, sorry, I'm not just going to say yeah. Obviously, I like Patrice Evra. He speaks with a lot of sense. I wish he was in the bloody dressing room because he would bollock those players. I just disagreed with him in relation to the Pogba thing and, saying, well, somebody in the dressing room needs to go and say to the other players. He's spot on. He's actually right. But the problem is we haven't got those players. We haven't got a leader. And you can't turn Pogba into that leader because he clearly isn't. I know he did the little chat round the table in the World Cup, but maybe he knew he was being filmed. He certainly isn't doing it at United, and if he is, they're not responding. So we need leaders in that dressing room. X-Ice, Cold Killers, X says Jovic 70 million, and Diddy 35 million, Bruno 65 million, Koulibaly 80 million, Sal, Sanchez and Lukaku. I quite like that. I mean, it's going to be a very exciting summer, isn't it? Because if, as it's looking like with Koulibaly, it's becoming more and more positive by the day, if we do sign him, we're going to spend 80 million. We're going to spend 80 million on Koulibaly. That's what we're going to do. But the good thing about Koulibaly is if we do sign Koulibaly for 80 million, that to me says that we only want money off Real Madrid for Pogba if Pogba goes. There's nothing out of Real Madrid we want as a player. If it's not Varane, but we don't want Varane if we're getting Koulibaly. So you could almost factor in the Pogba 180 million for the Koulibaly 80 million, and you've still got a bit of money left. What else? Well, I definitely want to talk about this. Please do smash a like on the video. Let's see if we can get 1,000 likes while we're live. I must just say again, I've got two things to tell you. Make sure you watch Transfer Daily tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I've got a couple of things to tell you about the Koulibaly deal, which I'm getting very excited about. But also, to be excited for, make sure you're following us on Instagram. I think the link's in the video description for United Stand TV. I'm at Goldbridge Mark on Instagram. Tomorrow, this is the stuff of dreams, quite literally. There is an influencer day at Old Trafford, and me and Flex are playing at Old Trafford tomorrow on the pitch for 90 minutes at 3 o'clock. So this is a life event. This is like unbelievable. I can't believe it. And a few people have won a competition to do it, but we've been invited to do it, and I can't believe it. Tomorrow, I'm going to be running out on the Old Trafford pitch. I don't care how shit I am. I don't care what I do. I don't care if I get sent off or anything. I won't get sent off, but I really, really can't wait. I can't wait. And we will be putting up little clips on Instagram and in the dressing room and all that stuff. So make sure you're following at Goldbridge Mark on Instagram and at Mark Goldbridge on Twitter, and we'll put some stuff. And I don't know about videos for YouTube. I don't know what they're going to be about like that. But I know we can put like little Insta clips and photos. So really, really excited about that. The Fire Dwyer says, if Man City are banned and Arsenal win the Euro Cup, can we make the Champions League? Apparently, I'm just not interested in it. I've got to be honest. I'm not interested in it at all. Clueless and Ollie have known each other for years. They are really close. Clueless. I don't know who that is, Leslie Lai. Where will Bruno play if Pogba stays and we sign him, says Ollie Johnson. Yes, that is a very, very valid point, Ollie. If we spend 60 to 70 million on Bruno Fernandes, I think Paul Pogba's gone. Because effectively, Bruno Fernandes' best position is the attacking midfielder position. He can play centre midfield. He's not a CDM. He can play box to box. But I think we saw the perfection of the 4-3-3 under Ollie in the first 3 months. And that is a CDM, a box to box who literally is a grafter, and a freer role for the other midfielder, which was Pogba. Pogba's not box to box. Pogba's not a CDM. If we brought Bruno Fernandes in and we play 4-3-3, then Bruno Fernandes is best in the Pogba position. So maybe, but that's why I want Bruno Fernandes, because I think Pogba will go. I can't see any other way for Pogba this summer. I think he will want to go, and I think Real Madrid want him. So but that's why getting Bruno Fernandes is probably quite important. Messi is just a BTEC Mark, says Joshua. And try and score more goals at Old Trafford than Sanchez, Mark, says Gary Conway. I'd love to score a goal, but I don't know who we're playing. There's talk of us playing people like Gary Pallister in that, so we're going to get smashed, aren't we? But I don't know who we're playing tomorrow. But all will be revealed at Goldbridge Mark on Instagram and at Mark Goldbridge on Twitter. So make sure you're following me on those, and you will find out as I find out when I get there at about 2 o'clock tomorrow. Let's talk about the Van Persie story. Grizz Panther. This is something for the United Stand regulars, of which you all are part of that show. Make sure you're watching every day at 8 o'clock at night, and make sure you're watching Transfer Daily every morning at 7 a.m. through at the transfer window. But this is the sort of stuff I like to feed into a show. So I was listening to Radio 5 Live, and basically they had this guy on, and he was saying, I think he was from like the New York Times or something like that, some sort of journalist. He was English, and you might see the clip on Twitter. And basically what he said is that the rot started at Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson signing Robin Van Persie, because they were actually linked to Lewandowski. And if you think about it, it was 6 years ago that we won a title, and Lewandowski is still playing now. And he was saying that Van Persie was bought for Sir Alex Ferguson to win the title. Sir Alex Ferguson just wanted to win the title and go out with the title. Quite rightly, he deserved it. But Van Persie was only ever going to be a short-term fix. And what they're saying is that Sir Alex Ferguson was just focused on winning the title. And then when he went, most of that team was finished, which I think a lot of people have said. But I've got to be honest with you and say, well, look, if you're gonna try and say that Sir Alex Ferguson started this problem and that Robin Van Persie was the signing that started this problem, I've got to say it's one of the biggest loads of nonsense I've ever heard. I mean, I wouldn't swap any. Robin Van Persie, I know he was only here for a short time, but I absolutely loved every second. Talk about pure class. I loved Van Persie. I thought he was a brilliant signing. And actually, Van Persie only really had that one good season, but he should have had 3 or 4. Van Gaal sold him, and I think he sold him too soon. He didn't get on with Moyes. So it wasn't really about his age. It was just the fact that he had that one good season under Sir Alex, and then Moyes came in, fell out with him. Then Van Gaal chose him. Because remember, he scored in that World Cup, didn't he? What was that World Cup? Was it 2014? He scored that header, and that was 2 years after we'd won the league. So I don't agree that Van Persie was a bad signing. And I don't agree that Sir Alex Ferguson has got any role in where we are now as a football club. I think it's very disrespectful to sort of even hint at that. Sir Alex Ferguson won the title in his last season, and that team should have been renovated much better than it was. We bought Fellaini and then Mata in the summer. That was it. It was a bad recruitment of that summer. We were linked to people like Bale and Kroos and Fabregas, but it needed more than that. And then Moyes was a bad appointment. And the only blame I'd apportion to Sir Alex was his backing of David Moyes, which I think even I was like, this is going to end in tears, and it did. Van Gaal and Mourinho had a lot of money to spend, so I totally disagree that there is any blame with Sir Alex Ferguson for where we are now. I think the blame lies with the club and the decisions that they made. Simple as that. Pogba gets criticism for giving his shirt to a kid, says RC1 Rom 30. Oh, come on. Let's let I understand that you want to stick up for Pogba, but let's not pretend it was because he gave his shirt to a kid. It was a fan giving him criticism because of how he's played this season. Very aggressive criticism, but yeah. Oscar Patrickson says 5 in, 5 out. Which players would it be? Well, Oscar, this is going to be the hardest thing to answer, because the reality is 5 in, 5 out. Herrera's already gone, so that's 1. Valencia's going to go, that's 2. Mata might decide to go, that's 3. That you can't control. De Gea and Pogba could go, that's 5. And you've got rid of no players you want to get rid of, but you've lost 5 players because contracts. So, it's not easy. If I was getting rid of 5, Jones, Young, Matic, Rojo, Damian, Lukaku, Sanchez. Yeah, no, it would be Jones, Young, Matic, Lukaku, Sanchez. I would get rid of those because Rojo and Damian are going to go anyway. I don't even count them, but those 5 I would love to see go. Yeah, the way Mason Greenwood play reminds me of Robin van Persie, says Alex Williams. He has got that something about him. He has got that quality about him. You're right. You're definitely right with that. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I'm really excited about tomorrow. I've got to get an early night. I'm going to have a nice hot bath, relax the muscles, watch a bit of Made in Chelsea, and just chill out for this game at Old Trafford tomorrow. I'm so excited about it, and I will be putting stuff up at Goldbridge Mark on Instagram and at Mark Goldbridge on Twitter, so keep an eye out for that. There will be a video tomorrow as well, so I'll update you with how it's gone. I might actually do it from Old Trafford, so it might be a little bit earlier, but we'll see. Get subscribed, get your notifications on, and do not miss Transfer Daily tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Even if you're having a lie-in, you've got a girl or a boy, everybody's diverse, in bed with you, you're having a bit of fun. Whenever you get up, just make sure you put, I say girl or boy, I mean, you know what I mean. Woman or a man, that's what I mean. The Transfer Daily tomorrow, 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Big reveal about, well, I don't want to say it's a massive reveal. I don't want to get you too excited, but yeah, I can reveal a bit more about the story about Koulibaly. You cannot abuse Pogba only when all played bad, says Lee Yan. Spot on. If you're going to abuse Pogba, abuse everybody. That is exactly right. A lot of people doing GCSEs and stuff like that. Good luck with your exams. United Stand FC video. I've not forgotten about it, Raheem. It is going to go out. It's just a very, very big time at the moment, and we've got to time it because I want it to. It deserves to breathe. The United Stand FC video. There's some controversial bits in it, and I don't want to just put it up and then we've got to go live because bloody Jones has pulled his hamstring again or something. So it will be happening. Keep an eye out. Thanks for watching. Smash a like on the video. I'll speak to you all soon. Really enjoying these shows. I'll tell you what, I feel like I'm enjoying these shows a lot more because the season's over and we can just dwell in positivity and hope with the transfers and look forward. Some people get really scared about the season being over, but I think when you've had a shit season, I like this. I like these chats. I like these shows. I'm enjoying it. So thanks everybody. You're all fantastic. And I'll speak to you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Don't miss it. Transfer Daily. Do you think I plugged it enough? Oh, they're going to love it. They're going to bloody love it, Mum.